Advanced Grammar in Use. Martin Hewings.
Unit 5. Past Perfect and Past Simple. A. When we give an account of a sequence of past events, we usually put these events in chronological order, using the past simple. If we want to refer to an event out of order, that is, an event which happened before the last event in the sequence we have written, or spoken about, we can use the past perfect. Study the use of the past perfect and past simple in the text on the right.
I wrote Clara an email to thank her for the present she had given me for my birthday last week. But as soon as I pressed the send button, I realized that I had made a mistake and sent it to her sister instead.
Order of events. 1. Gave present. 2. Wrote email. 3. Made mistake. 4. Realized mistake. Order events are mentioned. 1. Wrote email. 2. Had given present. 3. Realized mistake. 4. Had made mistake. B. When we understand that we are talking about events before another past event, we don't have to continue using the past perfect.
We bought a new car last month. We'd driven my parents' old car for ages, but it started to fall apart. We put a new engine in it, but that didn't solve the problems we were having. Or, we bought a new car last month. We'd driven my parents' old car for ages, but it had started to fall apart. We had put a new engine in it, but that hadn't solved the problems we were having.
C. If the order of past events is clear from the context. For example, if time expressions make the order clear, we can often use either the past perfect or the past simple.
After Ivan had finished reading, he put out the light. Or, after Ivan finished reading, he put out the light.
The two leaders agreed to meet, even though earlier talks had failed to reach an agreement. Or, the two leaders agreed to meet, even though earlier talks failed to reach an agreement.
D. The past perfect is often used in reporting what was originally said or thought in the present perfect or past simple. See also Unit 35. Talking about a past event. Reporting this past event.
I have met him before. I was sure that I had met him before.
The village hasn't changed much. I found that the village hadn't changed much.
"225 people drowned in the recent floods. Police said that 225 people had drowned in the recent floods.
I stole the watch.
She admitted that she had stolen watch.
E. We can use either the past perfect or past simple. And often past continuous and past perfect continuous. See Units 4 and 7. When we talk about things that we intended to do, but didn't or won't now do in the future.
I had hoped to visit the gallery before I left Florence, but it's closed on Mondays. Or, I hoped to visit the gallery before I left Florence, but it's closed on Mondays. Or, I was hoping to visit the gallery before I left Florence, but it's closed on Mondays. Or, I had been hoping to visit the gallery before I left Florence, but it's closed on Mondays.
Aaron planned to retire at 60, but we have persuaded him to stay for a few more years. Or, Aaron had planned to retire at 60, but we have persuaded him to stay for a few more years. Aaron was planning to retire at 60, but we have persuaded him to stay for a few more years. Aaron had been planning to retire at 60, but we have persuaded him to stay for a few more years.
Exercises. 5.1. The events mentioned in the magazine article are listed below. Write the order in which the events are mentioned. And then the order in which they occurred, or were thought to occur. Compare the two lists, and consider why the past perfect, in italics, was used.
How I bought my dream house. When I first saw the old house, I had just moved to the area. It had been empty for about a year, and was beginning to need some repairs, but the house was exactly what I wanted. But by the time I had put together enough money, I learned that a property developer had bought it, and planned to turn it into a hotel. Six months later, I had nearly given up hope of finding anywhere to live in the village, when I heard that the house was for sale again. The property developer had decided to invest his money in a new housing development on the edge of the village. I bought the house immediately, and I've lived there happily ever since. Carla Bridges.
The first past point of reference is when I first saw the old house. Events before this are in the past perfect. I had just moved. It had been empty. The second past point of reference is when I learned. Events before this are in the past perfect. I had put together, had bought. Notice that we could use I put together here as the order of events is made clear by the time. The third past point of reference is when I heard that the house was for sale again. Events before this are in the past perfect. I had nearly given up. The property developer had decided. (5.2) Underline the correct options. In some cases only one is correct, and in others both are correct.
As Jonas was introduced to Mrs. Lopez, he realized that he had met her before.
During the previous week, I had been to the gym every evening. During the previous week, I went to the gym every evening.
He denied that he had taken the money from the office. He denied that he took the money from the office.
I thought it was the best film I had seen in my life.
The boy told me that he had lost his train ticket and didn't know how he would get home.
At the conference, scientists reported that they had found a cure for malaria.
The teacher guessed that some of the children had cheated in exam. The teacher guessed that some of the children cheated in exam.
She said that she had made up her mind who to vote for, and that I couldn't persuade her to change.
Thomas explained that he had gone home early because he felt ill. Thomas explained that he went home early because he felt ill.
When I asked Maria about Jakub, she admitted that she hadn't heard from him for ages.
The waiter took my plate away before I had finished eating. The waiter took my plate away before I finished eating.
Julia said she didn't want any dinner. Apparently, she had eaten already. Julia said she didn't want any dinner. Apparently, she ate already.
Note: in North American English, 8 would also be possible. Five point 3. Expand these sets of notes, using the past perfect, to begin each sentence. I expect operation painful. I hope leave by 9. He not mean insult
Her.
Lara not intend become dentist. I not think of cook rabbit.
I had hoped to leave by 9, but I overslept and missed the train.
Lara hadn't intended to become a dentist, she always wanted to be a vet.
I had expected the operation to be painful, but I didn't feel a thing.
I hadn't thought of cooking rabbit until Andre told me how tasty it was.
He hadn't meant to insult her, but Daria was very offended. He hadn't meant it to be an insult to her, but Daria was very offended.